Hello everyone and welcome. Today's Wednesday, March 29th. Big shout out to my sister Teresa. Today's her birthday. Happy birthday, Teresa. I won't tell how old she is. And we are 1 week away from Holy Week. And I want to build on something that I said last week, which is no matter how things are going for you as far as, Lent goes, don't get discouraged. Keep trying. The devil loves it when he gets discouraged, say the heck with all of it. I'm not doing things perfectly. It's quite okay. Let's just begin again, begin anew, and get ourselves ready for Holy Week. It's never too late, okay? So, last weekend I was touched by that gospel, of course, of Martha and Mary and Lazarus being raised from the dead, being resuscitated by Jesus. And I love those two personalities, Martha and Mary, Martha's like kind of feisty, and as you know from the other scriptures, and Mary's sitting at Jesus' feet. But Martha, when Jesus finds out that Lazarus is really sick and he's dying, Jesus waits 2 more days before he goes, goes to see them, which part of you might wonder, why did he do that? Well, we know why he did that now. He wanted to wait so that he could resuscitate Lazarus, bring him back from the dead, and that people would believe in him. But when he meets Martha on the trail, if you remember last weekend's scripture, Martha comes up to him and says, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Almost like scolding the Lord. She's really a feisty lady, But in that episode where Martha and Mary are, in their home, and Martha's busy about, getting all the hospitality together, the food together for everybody, Mary's sitting at the feet of Jesus, and Martha's angry. You remember that scripture too, I'm sure. And Martha says, Lord, tell her to help me here, Martha, Martha, you're upset about many things, Well, St. Augustine has a really nice take on this Martha and Mary story, and he really ties it in with Psalm 46, one of my favorite Psalms, which is, be still and know that I am God. And the truth is, my brothers and sisters, I believe there's a little Martha and a little Mary inside every one of us. There's that part of us in there that's like getting the job done, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then there's that part of us that needs to sit at the feet of the disciple, sit at the feet of Jesus and be a disciple. St. Augustine would say that Martha was busy getting ready to feed the Lord, with the earthly food, and Mary was being fed by the Lord by sitting at his feet. We need that balance in our lives. And I dare say for most of us, we err way too much on the side of being way too busy. And so we need to find that time to be quiet before the Lord. But the truth is, we get quiet before the Lord and we don't know what to do. But it's not about doing anything. It's simply about being with. Just like being with a friend, and it's comforting just knowing they're there. It's being with the Lord and just sitting in his presence, There's an old Irish priest that tells the story of how he visited one of his communion calls, Bridget. And Bridget was way up in years. She had terrible arthritis and she wasn't getting around at all. So he was visiting with her and he said, Bridget, I bet now, this time of your life, you have a lot of time for prayer. She says, yeah, Father, I do have a lot of time for prayer, but I'll tell you what happens. She says, I begin and I say the Our Father, and I say Our Father. Then I start thinking about that and the wonder of him being our Father, and like we're his children. He's my Father. I'm his beloved child. And she says, my prayer kind of stops at that because I just get all caught up in the wonder of that. Well, as that priest left her home, he realized that she was really in a very deep prayer. It's really contemplative prayer. We're not so much saying prayers, although it's good to do that. It's just being with Jesus in the marvel of that. So maybe if we're struggling in our prayer lives, my brothers and sisters, the problem might not be the prayers. The problem might be our notion of God. If I have a fear of God and I go to prayer, I'm going to feel anxious when I pray. But if I know he's my loving dad, my loving Father in heaven, there's going to be a peace that comes with prayer. So maybe this week, instead of worrying about what prayers you're saying or not saying or what you're doing, just gently come into the presence of God using Psalm 46, or as your motto, if you will, or guidance. Be still and know that I am God. And just be with him and see what happens. And if you're filled with some kind of anxiety, go deeper. Don't run from it. That's the problem. We end up running from that. Stay with the uncomfortable feelings and see what God brings up inside you that you might look at. What's your notion of God? Maybe our prayer is fine. Maybe what we need to look at is our loving conception of God. Do you really believe that you are a child of the Father who loves you very much? God bless you.